Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Winter 2024 quarterly wrap-up video. These quarterly videos are writing AuthorTube related videos where I set goals for myself. I set 3 writing goals that I hope to meet in the next 3 months. And then I also have to go back and check about the goals I set 3 months ago, whether I met them or if a certain SEPTA has to come and visit me. So hopefully this will be pretty short and sweet. I divvy this video up into a couple of categories, which you will notice by headers coming down the screen as such. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I'll start my update with my best news, a great announcement. I had a flash fiction piece published this quarter, or last quarter, in Pen in Hand, which is the literary magazine of a writing group I belong to, the Maryland Writers Association. And here is my flash fiction, Aishas Hayil. I was actually talking about submitting this story to places last quarter and got a really great results pretty quickly, so I'm pretty happy about that. And I have a link down below with more information if you'd like to read this story. But otherwise this quarter I pivoted away from short story writing and short story submitting. I have very little going on in the short story world right now, and I'm very focused on my fantasy novel, which I'm still drafting. And in fact, I'm drafting and critiquing the fantasy novel, and I've found new ways in which to do that this year. I'm continuing to meet pretty much monthly with my beta reading group online. We've been meeting for over a year now. Everybody else has shared like entire drafts of their novels by this point because they were further along than I was when this whole thing started. But I am still eking along, but I'm probably around 80% through the story by this point. But I also decided to sort of re-engage more actively with the SFF Sci-Fi Fantasy Affinity Circle at my writer salon where we meet in person. I mean, usually with my writing salon what I do is I meet to write with people, but the affinity circles are a little more about critiquing and talking about craft and that sort of thing. And we have set monthly meeting dates all year, and so I decided, maybe for better or worse, to start sharing that novel with a new group of people starting from the very beginning. And so I'm sharing chapter by chapter with them and like looking at these chapters for the first time in years. And it's very helpful for the project. I guess I'm a little like on the fence about, you know, because there's only so much time in the day, and I'm also trying to finish the novel with the beta reading group while I'm starting the novel again and having to, you know, revise and so forth with the affinity circle. But you can't deny that I am definitely working on the project. I feel like I wrote actually a blog post about this, and I talked about I feel like I'm sort of on train tracks in 2 different cars of the train at the same time. So yeah, I am generally taking more of an active role even than I had been in my in-person writer salon. Also, along with my SFF affinity group, I am a part of their short story group. Currently, I'm attending, I'm reading other people's stories, critiquing them, and discussing craft issues, so that feels pretty good as well. But one thing I continue to not be involved in regularly is the London Writers Salon, which was, well, their online writing hour every weekday morning, which is a great way to start the day and get some drafting in, but I have been having trouble keeping that schedule going, so that's a little bit of a downer. I feel like I'm staying a little bit on a downer note with this next section where I highlight my favorite blog posts of the quarter. Most of this accountability video was put into place for my fiction, but a lot of the writing I do, you know, monthly and so forth, is my blogging. I maintain 3 separate blogs and I try to update them at least monthly. So all of these entries have a little bit of a theme going on. And I'm going to start with my Hava's Footsteps blog, where I talk about pop culture and I also talk about broader Jewish issues. And this kind of fits both of them, and also sort of feverish ruminations, because I was actually writing this as I was sick. But I called this Sick and Numbed by Cultural Trauma, I Drift Through Space. And it had to do with me still, coming to terms, it was around January-ish time, with October 7th and with the cultural commentary around it. And I was also watching a trailer for the Netflix movie Spaceman. There's a loneliness and a metaphoric quality to that movie that I suppose spoke to me. And in fact, from there, I went on to think about my favorite drifting through time all alone story, I think, which is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And I used a lot of quotes from that story as I parsed through some of my feelings about the anti-Zionist movement and about my own personal Jewish history and family history, and the ways that the broader community sort of pigeonholes Jews. So it's I don't know, it's a little bit of a fever dream, but in a way it's also kind of creative. Then I'm moving specifically into my Jewish DC blog, where I chronicle events happening in the DC Jewish area. And this actually is a bit of a theme, I suppose. I've been reviewing the opening of and special exhibits of the new Capitol Jewish Museum, which I'm really excited about. I love that museum. And recently they put some of their extraneous items on display, things they don't usually have space for, but they had some time in their special exhibit space, so they decided to make an exhibit of their own materials while, I think, waiting for, traveling exhibits to come to them. I'm sure there's scheduling stuff going on behind the scenes, but in the meantime, they took some things out of storage, which was interesting enough, and they also ended it because one of their major missions is to talk about the Jewish community, and particularly political, affiliations and so forth, of the present day as well as the past. And so, of course, the major thing happening with the Jewish community right now is the response to October 7th and to the Israel-Hamas war. And in the DC area, there's been lots of protests and lots of rallies. There was the Rally for Israel that I attended back in November with my synagogue. We had a t-shirt and everything about that for our solidarity. And then there's been lots of rallies for ceasefires that Jewish groups have played a big part in as well, with Ceasefire Now shirts and Ceasefire Now, placards. And the museum was able to acquire, the paraphernalia from both, the Stand for Israel rally sort of stuff and also the ceasefire rallies. And so I made that sort of a centerpiece of my review of the exhibit, and I had a picture of the posters on my blog. And, usually, to tell the truth, when it comes to blogging, I don't garner a whole lot of attention. I'm a pretty small fry person over there as well, but I did get an actual reaction from somebody to my blog post. Things are pretty polarized right now when it comes to the Middle East. I don't know if right now is even the right term. And the ceasefire movement can be a bit triggering, for lack of a better term. People were calling for a ceasefire before Israel even responded to October 7th, where, thousands of civilians were murdered, raped, and kidnapped. So there's this connotation with ceasefire that it doesn't actually apply to the safety of Jews and to Israelis. I mean, I think that reality is more complicated now, but I feel like some of us have difficulty. This conflict responses and reactions run passionate, obviously, with this issue. And so it was interesting to get an angry comment on this blog post I did and have to respond to it, especially when my own personal thoughts are more complicated, I think. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. And finally, in my reading and writing blog at the very end of February, I made a whole brand new section in order to respond to something in the literary world where the organization LitHub brought in an anti-Zionist Jewish writer to criticize Jewish Book Council, which is a major Jewish literary organization, for starting an anti-Semitism initiative to track anti-Semitism in the literary world. And I felt like this was crass and it was gaslighting. And I've been tracking and even responding to the bigotry at LitHub for a while, and I felt I should be more explicit and bring receipts, as the kids say. So I wrote an editorial on my reading and writing blog about what was going on, and trying to use writing to get down my thoughts and make a cogent argument against LitHub's response to this. So yeah, this is something I feel passionate about, and I think this was cathartic also because, I didn't just want to rant, I wanted to, make a nuanced argument, and so hopefully I was able to do that. And yeah, anyway, all three of these blog posts are linked down below. But before I'm completely taken over by shadow, I gotta stop filming at this time, I suppose. But it's time to get to my winter 2024 goals recap and see if I'll be hearing some bells in the near future. So anyway, goal number 1 for this winter was my stretch goal, which was to finish a definitive draft of my fantasy project, which was something I was hoping I'd be able to do. And I haven't been able to do. I have been slowing down. This might be somewhat psychological about being nervous about finishing, but yeah, I still have at least a few more chapters to go. I still think I probably have 20-ish% of the story left to tell, maybe a little less, but anyway, I'm not finished with that fantasy draft yet. My goal number 2 was to sign up for my salon's February challenge. Back in February, my writer salon that meets in person, we decided to host a reading and writing goal about, trying to read and write for 30 minutes a day, and we tracked it on a spreadsheet. And so anyway, I didn't read and write most days of the month, not every day of the month, so in essence I failed. Most of us failed, but a couple people did make that goal. And anyway, there was a big pizza party at the end of the month to celebrate it, but I ended up not going to that. Stupid work stuff and scheduling, but in a way maybe I didn't deserve to because I did not technically make this goal. And finally, my goal number 3 was to submit my flash fiction piece to more places, and this is a goal I didn't meet, but I can give myself a pass on, because like I said at the beginning of this video, that piece is now published. So yes, I am ending on a high note and making a justification for missing that goal, but I can't make a justification for my other goals. So...
Shame. Shame. Shame.
I wonder which side she would be rooting for in the whole Reds versus Black Targaryen civil war coming up in House of the Dragon in the next couple of months. Technically speaking, to get nerdy about this, I think the big religion of the Seven of the Game of Thrones universe had a definite anti-dragon biased stance about what's happening, where they weren't quite looking at all the facts, so I don't know. Anyway, we can all take a side, apparently, because HBO or Max or whatever released 2 trailers, one focused on Team Green and one focused on Team Black, so I'll link to them down below in case you want to get into the hype of upcoming season 2, which will be coming out in June. But yes, getting back to my reality here, I'm going to wrap things up with my spring 2024 goals announcement. I have another shot to make things right here. So here I start with goal number 1. This is my not-so-stretch goal. Finish that dang fantasy draft. I'm definitely closer this time. I really am reaching that point. I feel like it could happen. It really should be able to happen that I should finish this draft before June. So should put the screws to myself here. Goal number 2 is my submit piece to short story affinity group for the heck of it goal. This might be me tempting fate a little too much because I should probably stay focused on my fantasy novel, but it does feel weird not to be involved in writing short stories, especially while I'm meeting monthly with a short story writing group. So I don't know, I'm feeling a little bit of the FOMO or something, so maybe I could push myself a little. This is probably more of a stretch goal though. And finally, my goal number 3 is to attend at least one freaking social or communal writing event at the salon. I was talking about this as well, how active my in-person writer salon is and how it's great to take advantage of different groups. I mean, to be honest, I'm, there a fair bit interacting with people and getting my writing and critiquing done, but there's whole other sorts of stuff happening. There's even author and agent Q&As, and lately other members have been brainstorming events like where we might talk about various craft elements or maybe do some communal writing with each other. In fact, at my short story writers group last month, we went ahead and wrote a flash fiction piece together using scene cards, so that was kind of fun. But anyway, there we go, and at least in the viewfinder, I can barely see myself anymore, so I think that about puts the curtain on winter 2024, and I'm about to, step into spring over here and keep on keeping on with my writing life. And that about covers it for me now. Again, I'll have links to the various writerly things and bloggy things that I talked about linked down below, as well as House of the Dragon stuff. And yeah, I hope all of you are doing really great with your writing goals as well. Expect me back on this channel imminently, hopefully when the light is better, to do my wrap-up of the BookTube Prize Octafinals now that we are finished with the first round of 2024 and into the second round of reading. So I'm very excited to finally be able to talk about my ballot books, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, yes, hope you're all having a wonderful start to April. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Keep writing, and I'll see you next time.